representing Storm Gaming, it is MaxPax.
And his opponent in the Northeast, the blue Terran player, he is Team Liquid's Clem.
Very nice.
And look at that little cheeky SCV moving out early for the Masa racks. The Masa racks. People like to say Maka because of some dude that played this game 30 years ago who doesn't anymore, but I'm going to give it the most recent player who played like that. It's the Masa racks now. We've legally changed it. Terran players expect lawsuits if you don't comply. So yeah, this is the I want you to think I'm proxying you, but I'm not actually proxying you. But
is he actually? Yeah, but he is actually. Yeah, that's crazy. Because I'm completely with you. That is the racks that says I am not proxying you, right? Or I am proxying you, but I'm not proxying you. But then he's proxying.
Yeah, but it's further away from MaxPax's base than his main ramp. Either that or it's equidistant. Regardless. Why?
So it has to be Reapers, right? Like I imagine it has to be Reapers because anything other than Reapers is not.
He has one gas. He has one gas. So
but he can take the second gas, right?
He could just do 3.
It might be a 3 Reaper opening.
Yeah, I guess because it might line up with when the second barracks finishes. That'll have enough gas for it, and I guess the Reaper build time on its own. Maybe he gets a third one, but it's not like you're pumping out Reapers nonstop with something like this. I think it's just very risky to do it off one gas because you can't get the factory if you're going to build Reapers one after another. So there's definitely a very interesting way that this goes. But I suppose if the Reapers buy time, he doesn't feel like he needs the factory because he can just expand. But this is a very funky way to play a TVP. And very different. Yeah. I don't know that I've seen something exactly like this in a very long time or ever. Very, very interesting.
I completely agree, but it is very interesting and it is very cool. Let's see what it amounts to. I mean, Reapers usually don't scale that well into this matchup, even in the early portions, right? But at least they're going to get a sellout for free here. Not really. The Stalker's going to come out and meet the first Reaper, but find out that there's 2 instead. So that should be plenty of kind of like a heads up for MaxPax to maybe drop an extra shield battery. Already he has one, I think, in the main, actually. So that's just about perfect for him. And this has not worked out for Clem so far. He will get the sellout that he was always going to get pretty much, though.
What a fascinating way to start. So it's a fake out Reaper proxy opening, but it's actually like I have enough Reapers to defend a gateway shove while being able to expand as well. So that's very cool. Very, very cool. I think that this is still part of the risk. The factory is very late. 2 units together can kill a Reaper. So a Reaper will die, a Marine dies, and the bunker can finish, and then you're okay here. But it's still, it's still a little bit awkward. You delay your factory a smidge. But Cyclone is going to come up next as Blink starts up. Yeah, I don't know. I don't really think it ends up being a huge matter of consequence, but it was certainly something that we have not seen at least much.
No, for sure. And I dare say almost we see why we haven't seen it that much, because it didn't really accomplish that much. And it is an investment, right? It is 150 gas that you were talking about, usually just 50 gas. And it is also the extra barracks. It is also the floating time, right, before you can actually continue to produce units. So I think Clem was aiming or hoping to get a little bit more than he did. Maybe anticipating that MaxPax would go for a different opening than what he had gone. Maybe in his studying of MaxPax and replays, this was some sort of punish to what he would do. But he doesn't find that. So it's definitely not a good opening from Clem. But we don't know what he was thinking or why he did it. So very difficult to comment on whether it was a good idea or not. But in retrospect, I think it probably.
If we don't know, then he's probably not shown this to too many people. So I think at the very least, MaxPax has to like scratch his head and be like, "What?" Because like it kind of throws the timings off. At least it won't. Nothing will line up with whatever build he would typically expect because now it's all based on this new frame of reference that we're in. So that's enough for my pseudo-intellectual hyper-analysis of this random Terran opening. But he's going for a Prism as Blink finishes, so MaxPax might get aggressive here, cats.
Yeah, so we'll see about that. I mean, there is 4 Stalkers here. That's enough to one-shot SCVs if he goes into the main. So that is nice. A beautifully positioned tank here. Actually, one of the Stalkers almost ends up falling there to the combination of the tank shots and the bunker. So gonna be a little bit more hesitant perhaps to blink onto that high ground, especially with Marauders and even a Cyclone being present there. So if Clem can bait this could be really bad for MaxPax as well.
Yeah, I guess the Reapers too, because it's two of them as well. It's like it's a little bit harder to just try and focus the one down. You have to like manually click. So he can continue to get good vision. Cyclone not able to get a lock on onto the Prism, but denies the earlier ass. And this is annoying because it really is just like you can throw the 2 grenades and kind of move around. He's going to be able to at least get 2 probes. 2 probes there is, I think, pretty nice, especially since he saw the robotics bay finishing. So he gets good, valuable information, but also Reapers are pretty useless past the opening anyway. Once Blink is done, as soon as they ran past them, they would have just blinked and killed them anyway. So I think that's a great way to get that last little bit of value off of them that you can. And as the siege tanks move out with the bio, this is a very large push, Cats. But the Prism might go for a little backstab action.
Yeah, good angling as well for MaxPax to receive kind of the units in a line as they travel across the map and pass this corner. So you can see he's doing the same thing there, right? Like the units are kind of lining up because they have to pass those corners. And as they line up, the Stalkers are all in a line to output the maximum amount of DPS. Now the tank siege maybe clipped the sentries, just barely not. So yeah, MaxPax has bought a lot of time here. The Colossus is out, but there's a lot of threat for that Colossus in the shape of Marauders and 3 tanks.
Yeah. This position on this map is very nice too. If you go by that line of sight blocker, you know, that big pillar, it's not just for overlords getting free information forever, Cats. The units can't see the other side of it that easily sometimes. So
nice
you want to, sometimes hugging it with the tanks can be good, but this is a really fantastic pickup. Like you said, just grabbing the siege tank that's rallying over. Very, very tough.
Yep, and this puts Clem a little bit more on a timer, right? Because he doesn't have the units that he was expecting, so he actually moves one of his tanks forward, which is going to make him a little bit weaker against the backstab, but going to allow him to output enough damage to kill the Nexus in spite of the battery overcharge. And now it's about, can I retreat? And I think he can. MaxPax is giving him all the space in the world to retreat. The Stalkers are now trying to reposition to buy a little bit more space for the rest of the army to catch up. And now, actually, no, Clem, no! If he had stayed siege, that would have been nasty good for him, but instead it turns into a nightmare as all of these tanks are going to get picked up for free. So MaxPax does end up buying enough time, but now here comes Clem with the rest of it, and it's indeed a sandwich. Can the Colossus survive? That is going to be a hard no for that one. So just one of them, and what a hectic few moments there as both players trading blows.
This is what everybody tuned in for. We're getting some good old-fashioned slapstick TVP. The SCVs had to run in the main base, doing a little dodge, and 50 to 53, though, and a dead third base means that Clem, economically, has to be in a great spot. The Zealots maybe help a little bit, but I think killing that Colossus with that sandwich you were talking about, it's just so nice. And Dark Shrine is going to come up for MaxPax, so I think he's recognizing, okay, I'm going to need to be a little bit more damaging with the harass play that he goes for. So that Prism's going to make its way back. The Cyclone, I think pretty easy target for the charge lots, but what he might try to do is warp in on that bottom right base, send them into the third, and then drop the main so he can 2-prong with 1 Prism.
Yeah, for sure. But
or go all the way around.
So this is a very strong position for Clem still, right? Like, because he does get what he went for with that push in the third. And then MaxPax is able to somewhat punish him on 2 different fronts, right? Cutting the reinforcements first, and then collapsing onto the tanks at a perfect time, in a perfect situation where it gets all 3 of the tanks before they are sieged. But then because Clem's sandwich actually manages to clear the Colossus and the rest of the Grand Army of MaxPax, it's like MaxPax got nothing out of that, right? Things get reset, but you still lost the third earlier. So it's not a good position for MaxPax, just economically speaking, leading later into this game. The Warp Prism, the piece that you were talking about as well, will be taken down. And now MaxPax is gonna really struggle to stabilize here.
Indeed, and he needed the DTs to be able to do something, but even though that Dark Shrine came through, the Prism got caught by the Vikings, so it just becomes even that much more difficult. And the DTs are actually taking the path that the Zealots were on. One is going to the right side. The Observer can still see everything too. That's worth mentioning. As yeah, I think if you're Clem, he's just chilling, right? Nothing really committed. Not a whole lot being risked out there. Just moving forward with the economy. I think he recognized that MaxPax is trying to really bring the pain, but he does not feel.
Look at the speed of Clem.
To do anything.
Don't compare them. Like MaxPax is fast, but Clem is super, super fast, you know? And yeah, I mean, yeah, that's actually absurd to watch. But yeah, Clem probably, I mean, first person view of Clem has to be one of the most fun for first person views out there. He is just so clean. Let's appreciate that for a second, as Clem is 50 supply ahead. This game is very difficult for MaxPax. Now the DTs are trying to make something happen, as they know that there's no detection thanks to the Observer. Now the third is getting sieged, but remember, you need 2 swipes to kill SCV, so they're not going to get too much value out of them. And now Clem, with double scans that he had available, is going to be able to clear those out, and instantly now adding turrets. So that is not going to happen again. That opportunity is not going to present itself again for MaxPax, perhaps minus this DT, who still survives at the natural, but now will be taken down with these.
Yeah, and he did get +1 finishing there, so the DT was able to one-shot a few of those SCVs.
Oh, nice.
And get a little bit more value towards the end. And he's getting DT blink too, so I really like this. This is just so stressful for the Terran. Every time he moves out, not only is he getting hit by the Zealots, but then he has to make sure that he has detection everywhere or scan available. And obviously, they could also hit his army. So there's ghosts there, which will help. Yeah. You can always EMP them to reveal them, but that's not necessarily that easy every time.
Yeah, not ideal. A nice DT there sitting at the other base of Clem is going to make it difficult for Clem to kind of like, you know, pay attention to everything. The disruptor shot's almost landing. Perhaps as a result, this one will actually land nicely onto a little bit of bio there, but it's still Clem that ends up taking the price that he came for, and even choosing to pursue the engagement further, taking down a Colossus. So, yeah, MaxPax still very much on the ropes as Clem angles to perhaps go into the main.
When's the last time you saw 2 landed Vikings just chilling in a base waiting for DTs? I don't think I've ever seen that. But Clem, very prepared. Recognize, okay, this, as soon as I do something, I know he's going to try to counter. The Vikings had vision. The Disruptors tried to flank the tanks, but yeah, he just lost a huge number of them. And this position is just brutal. Also, 1 pylon powering a lot of that infrastructure in the northwest corner of this base. So MaxPax really has a lot to lose if he loses this fight. I mean, the game would end. He's very far behind as it is.
Extremely so. And I mean, Clem is not really giving you room to breathe here. Like we were talking about Showtime, right? And watching Showtime and how methodical he is in advancing his leads. If it were him, I would expect he has more bases and just defenses everywhere. Clem, not the type of player that, instead it's the player that's gonna try to snowball a lead, and he is one of the best in the world at doing exactly that. So MaxPax is gonna really struggle to stabilize, and he is in any case lagging a base behind regardless of what the army situation and the situation out on the map is. So looking very dire for him.
Yeah, and continuing to just bring that pressure. I mean, it's in the main base. He's picked off the gas. He's taking out gateways. The Disruptors want to try and come and land another shot, but they can't, and that's it. GG. Clem is going to take game number 1. And this was a fascinating game. I mean, this was a really strange map of StarCraft to watch and to commentate, Cats. I don't think we've ever seen that opening before from a Terran versus a Protoss, especially in that way. And things just got very funky, but I mean, he got Marines, tanks, Vikings, the Colossus he killed early on, and killing that third base just put MaxPax a little bit too far behind to deal with the follow-up.
Yeah, I wouldn't attribute too much to the opening, though it would be nice to, you know, hear it from Clem if he thinks that actually accomplished anything. But from my perspective, yeah, the timings on the side of MaxPax and as far as what to expect from Clem are going to change, like you were saying. But they're going to change almost every time negatively, right? Because like you pointed out, the factory is going to be 100 gas later, for example. The barracks are going to have to float back to defend, etc. Now, Clem did have a clean, good, close even defense with the bunker and against the first few units that MaxPax tried to counterattack with, and it looked like MaxPax might have been able to do something to punish that opening, but he wasn't. So kind of things stabilized from there, and then it was just that one push which MaxPax had a Colossus for, and I'm not sure if that was the right unit, right? A lot of the time we see Protoss going for an Immortal first. An Immortal would have been so nice to have against 3 tanks and 4 Marauders in a push that has no medevacs as well.
Yeah. Well, definitely an interesting first map to start off a series that we got a lot of people excited about, and lots of people cheering for both of these guys in the chat throughout, and some chaotic moments. But we're going to go to Cosmic Sapphire. This map typically lends itself to the long ones. So the crazy games, nobody ever likes breaking down the rocks to make it a short map. So we see things get stretched diagonally quite a bit it is just a very long map. So I'm interested to see if we get that crazy back and forth macro game, or if maybe things get a little more funky. Like Clem's not afraid to cheese, and I don't think MaxPax is either. But I do get the vibe that this should be a mostly macro best of 5.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see. Indeed, I think both players are very capable of everything, and that is what makes them so great to a good degree. Spawning in the top left-hand side, it is the Prince of Denmark, MaxPax.
And in the bottom right, we have the blue Terran player representing Team Liquid. He is Clem.
Storm Gaming for MaxPax, of course. Energize the game, and Team Liquid for Clem. I never quite understood what about a Storm energizes the game. Like I always when Storm first came into the scene, I thought they were representing an energy drink type brand, but it wasn't. So maybe they should come up with their energy drink.
I don't know about that. I don't know about that, Cats. I just don't know. I think they've been around for a while, though. They've been an organization kind of picking up players and being there running. I think there was like a good long while. They had a cup running as well, helping out.
There's a Storm LAN coming soon, actually, in partnership with Philadelphia in just a couple of weeks.
Oh, that's dope.
In Philadelphia, yeah. So for anyone that wants to check that out, they definitely do a lot for the scene and have done so for a very long time. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
We always need more StarCraft, all right? You know, people, it's been so long. Everybody's like, is it over? Is there stuff? I'm like, dude, we've literally been running tournaments nonstop for like 12 years. I don't know what more you need, but we're gonna keep doing it, and there will be more. I'm certain of it. Even if it's just you and me in a cardboard box one day,
we'll do
just talking about the good old days on our phone streams or whatever. It'll be there. We'll be there. There will be people talking about StarCraft till the end of days. I can promise you that.
I can promise you that. All right. We have the opening here. It's going to be a normal Reaper opening on the side of Clem. It's going to be, obviously, the very long rush distance of this map will make it so that MaxPax should be ready with an Adept on location, but he will still have to kind of guess the location. He's going to guess correctly here whilst accounting for the other entry point with the shade. And actually, no. He is not going to be in position there, as Clem does sneak the Reaper in, but MaxPax already with a shield battery even there at the main. So he's not taking any risks, and that allows for the Adept to move out as well. So can he do something on this side? Let's look at the setup in the natural base. Clem's bunker will finish perfectly in time to account for this. The Marine not loaded in yet is gonna make it so that MaxPax knows that he can continue to move on past that point, and notice where the Adept is, right? Like it's trying to zone out potential Marines coming in, so that forces the Reaper to come back all the way out, and the SCV is still at a little bit of a threat because the Reaper's not going to be able to DPS the Adept in time, so he basically has to wait for the Hellions. That was what the delay was about there. The SCV will get picked up. A little bit of a mistake from Clem not being able to load into the bunker. That's gonna delay his CC significantly. So a job well done from MaxPax, who will lose both Adepts and would have loved, one Adept, and would have loved to pick off that Hellion, but he's gonna be pretty happy, I think, delaying the CC as much as he did.
Yeah, I'm also just gonna say it. I hate the move out with the 2 health Hellion. It will very likely not do a whole lot. Maybe it gets a shot.
MaxPax AFK though.
Not repairing just triggers me. I'm sorry, Cans.
No, I completely agree with you, especially because it like you said, it is one shot, right? If it has half HP, okay, that's fine. You can leverage that and you can say, okay, I really want the 2 Hellions out on the map as fast as possible on the other side. But this one, I mean, one probe being pulled off the line will be enough to deter it from doing anything really. And if you have to micro it away, then you're not getting your shots off, etc. So I am completely with you. I don't like that Hellion being there.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I mean, really, it's just nitpicking. Let's face it. Hellion's kind of stuck past the early phase of the game. So if he had been able to dive in, then it could have been the difference between getting another shot off versus a probe killing it. And I think that's where the risk comes into play a little bit more. But for the purposes of this game,
literally one shot though. Like, would you make a Hellion if it guaranteed that you get one shot off? Probably not, right? So
no, I wouldn't. So mine drop though, that's where the real value ideally comes from for Clem.
Oh, the Reaper though, the Reaper will open the wall there with the grenade and the Hellions will run in. Very low HP. Hellion actually not getting taken down. Gets taken down second to last somehow. Just to make us look a little bit foolish. And actually, Clem will find 13 probes.
Oh, that's why Clem is here, and that's why I'm here. So that's why he's there and I'm here, I guess.
I mean, the Hellion could have been focus fired, but at least, I mean, that was a clump of Hellions. That wasn't 2 Hellions, right? It changes the equation quite a bit, yeah. But because the rest of the Hellions can still output a lot of damage regardless.
Yeah, I think for the plural pronoun of Hellions, I think we have to use Mad Max language. So I think it's a gang of Hellions, right?
A gang
something, yeah.
All right.
Yeah, or a family, if we're going by Fast and Furious rules, a family of Hellions. Yeah.
Oh, is Fast and Furious uses families? That's kind of strange.
Well, that's the only
like
pronoun
like,
you'll hear in the whole entire series.
Yeah. Oh, I've never watched any of the movies, but I mean,
man, you got to come hang out sometime. We got some
I don't know. I don't know if that's. I mean, I would love to come hang out, but if it
He's
is
got
to watch
stalkers
the
in his
Fast and
base.
Furious, he does. He sure does. That's a lot of stalkers indeed. 3 SCVs have fallen. The tank is sieged very far back here, so that is a nice defensive setup for Clem. But MaxPax utilizing the full extent of this very, very large main as the family of stalkers is splitting. Is it no longer a family then? That is the question.
I don't know. They're robots, so it doesn't really matter how they feel.
Oh, I see.
Prism is going to barely get away with a single hit point. Now, see, Protoss players, they understand pain because they can't repair things, you know? They just have to live with it forever until they finally get blown up by something.
Yes, indeed. The tank will get sieged nicely here on the natural, but it's a nice spread for MaxPax as well. Maybe could have chosen to take that engagement. A lot of bruised up Marines, only 1 Marauder in the mix. But he's going to think better of it for the time being. Still applying a lot of pressure here. But now tanks are just about everywhere and really nicely covering each other. So if you look at the tank setup here, for Clem, you can see that each tank is covered by a different tank. So there is no way to engage one of those tanks without getting shot at by the second one, which is what you want to do every time as Terran, right?
Yeah. And these stalkers are continuing to apply that wild pressure. We see this very popular choice. And he's going up with the DTs. I do not see a turret anywhere. He has 1 scan. He has energy for 1 scan on his main orbital. And that is it. So
I like it.
Going for the tanks too. Wow.
I love that. Yeah. That's brilliant, right? Because now the stalkers are a much stronger threat. As soon as the tank at the front gets taken down, the stalkers are going to blink on forward and now take a stronger position here at the front. So this DT is doing mad amounts of work there. I love that he went for the tanks instead of the SCVs, which might be the more common choice here, and still going after the units like the Marauders. MaxPax is going to close out this game.
That is filthy.
Beautiful. Yeah,
that is an absolutely nasty. That was like, we make these comments when people do like high level micro and like, oh, he's going in like a surgeon. No, he straight up extracted the 2 tanks and that was it. Game was over. What a cool way to use that. You know, you never see people like deliberately use the DTs in a way like that. So he's like, oh, I'll get some SCVs, counterattack rats. He's like, no. If I click the tank, I'm pretty sure I can just kill 1 in each base. And then my blink stalkers will just kill everything else. So that was awesome.
About it. Yeah, I mean,
I think that game that easily turns into a normal drawn out game if the DTs don't get that. If he has a Raven or he has 2 scans, I think this whole thing can flip on its head very quickly. But wow, MaxPax just kind of seizing an opportunity there and cutting it short to tie things up as we are already in the lobby for Moondance, which will be the game number. I
mean, it was everything about it. It was everything leading up to that point, right? Like the pressure from MaxPax was brilliant. He knows that there's not a Raven. He knows that, you know, likely knows at least or has an idea of what the energy is on the command centers because he is applying pressure on both ends with stalkers. He knows what the spread of tanks looks like because he's been shot at it from multiple times. And then the DTs, I mean, flawlessly executed on the back of the pressure, right? Which makes it more difficult for Clem to adapt, to drop any turrets, to have any sort of response, but also splits the DTs. 1 into the main, 1 into the natural, knows where the tanks are. And once those tanks are down, the stalkers are kings. So he knows what he's going up against, understands how to surgically, like you said, remove the pieces that he needs to take down to destroy Clem in that match. Beautiful job there from MaxPax. And yeah, here we are, the man that we're talking about in the bottom right-hand side, equalizing the series in the last game. It is MaxPax.
And his opponent in the northwest, in blue, he's Clem.
The hashtags for this were Clay and Max, which just about amounts to climax for this series, which is, I would say, the climax of today. Perhaps.
Well,
we'll see. I mean, so far it has delivered.
We've still got quite a few more matches to go. We're gonna need to keep the energy up, but this could be at the very least a turning moment, right? This could be the crescendo. This is where we really raise the stakes, as it were. But yeah, I guess depending on, we don't really know yet how the rest of the games will go. But
this could be the crescendo Ronaldo, even.
That's the guy who kicks the ball around and pretends to be hurt, right?
Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah, okay.
He's very good.
To make sure we're on the same page.
Oh, we are.
Yeah.
You make football references sometimes. I gotta throw in some love to it.
I appreciate it. Do they give out Oscars for those guys yet, or?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Awesome.
Oscar. Yeah. Oscar de la Hoya. I was gonna say, but that's a boxer.
Oh well.
Yeah.
I'm just glad that so many different groups of people can come together. That just makes me,
it's the family. It's the families that you were setting up. Yeah, it's the Fast and Furious families that you were referencing, and we are all a big family, aren't we?
We're here to give you the greatest commentary that you have ever heard, ladies and gentlemen, and we're not going to stop. So,
yep. Except for right now, we could be in silence for 3 seconds or so. Carrying on now. Yeah.
So the probe is checking for a proxy. I don't know that MaxPax would really do anything funky here. Like, what if he just took a ninja base, or he just builds a dark shrine in this corner? No, he's looking for something. If you think about it, the Hellion opening oftentimes leads to a drop, and it was pretty popular for a while to proxy the starport, build a medevac, and then just have the Hellions run over, and then boom, boom, you hop up into the main base, roast 12 probes, game is over, and then all the people complaining about Protoss in chat are just suddenly quiet for 20 seconds. And then, of course, they get back to their business. But it's a Stargate opening for MaxPax, and there is no proxy. There's nothing to be found. The Reaper does get a cheeky probe, though, and that is very nice for Clem.
That is very nice for Clem, and it's one of the probes that was out on the map. There was, I think, maybe 2 even at one point. In any case, MaxPax covered most of the map. They're searching for nothing, right? And the probe does get picked off, so that is a really nice start for Clem, because MaxPax is already investing. And I gotta say, from the perspective of MaxPax, it seems very fair, if not even good, to invest into looking out for the early aggression of Clem, because that's what he has been showing in this series, and I am sure, no doubt, what he often shows against them in other series.
We had a little zoom in there as the starport landed. I like this. We're getting a little fancy. Now here's the rub. He's already got a Phoenix. Another one is coming. So the Banshee, weirdly enough, these builds can be great versus Stargate. I don't think that a Banshee opening is bad versus Stargate. But if the Phoenix catches wind of this, then you can just go kill it, because first of all, Cloak won't be done when the Banshee is done. So you don't want to necessarily move it out, because if it gets caught, then you're very upset. And on the other hand, if the Banshee gets all the way over and there's not an observer out, because some Protoss players will feel that with the map control, they can be a little greedier if they know where everything is, and that opens up the Banshee. But he is going to get an observer, and I think that will be a little bit difficult for Clem to do what he wants to do here, since he is going to see the starport, and he sees the tech lab, he sees all of that. So unless he thinks he's getting faked out, which I think he'll take this seriously, there is a Banshee on the way to his base.
Yeah, I mean, this is really, really well done by both players. I also want to point to as we have a split screen here, to the positioning of the Cyclone on the first instance from Clem, right? Like, he had the Cyclone forward to deny information, and it pushes back the first Phoenix. Then he repositions the Cyclone inside the main, because he knows that there's likely a second Phoenix, and then you can't contend with that on the low ground. So Clem doing everything that he can to make this Banshee have some success, in spite of what we would think is otherwise an unfavorable opening. But MaxPax is ready. Not ready enough that he's still going to end up losing 6 workers by the looks of it. So Clem, makes something happen on the back of beautiful positioning, on the back of protecting the information that he had for as long as he could. Makes it so that the first Banshee can accomplish something, the second one unlikely to be as lucky.
Yeah, and that is a devastating amount of damage, by the way, for a build that on paper is hard countered. Like, oh, he went Stargate Phoenix into Robo and was scouted my tech lab before Cloak finished, and you'd think to yourself, there's no way that a Banshee should do anything against 4 Phoenix. but it does. So that's just one of those things where he doesn't have that shield battery in his main base because he doesn't think that he needs it, and suddenly he does. So a very awkward position to be in because this ground army is quite strong, and one of the Phoenix getting popped there is also very nice.
Very nice indeed. The Banshee has at least lost most of its HP, and I love that the Banshee is now joining the army, right? Clem says, okay, this Banshee is not going to accomplish anything, but it does have DPS to add to my army. So it will finally get taken down after shelling a couple of shots, and this Disruptor will spawn in range of the tanks. Clem may be baiting a little bit of that Disruptor shot before sieging the tank in the position that he wants. This tank is low, however, so MaxPax is gonna go and try to remove it, but unable to. As the Phoenix gets focused fire there by Clem, the shield battery will suffer the same fate as perhaps the shield battery in the back would have been the better target. The Marines are trying to rush to cover for the tank, and this bunker is really, really nasty as well. As it goes up, you can maybe position another one forward, but there's no stim here, so Clem without stim.
Marine split challenge. Marine split challenge, cats. The Robo, I was gonna say the Robo just is dead. So that's it. He just has that. He has that one Disruptor, but it's being zoned by the 3 tanks. He has the bunker to fall back to. And I cannot believe the Phoenix have not been able to do what they needed to. He did eventually get that 1 tank, but this is a ridiculous push by Clem. And the fact that it seems that, MaxPax is dead. What a wild way for this game to go. GG, Clem goes up 2-1. And how often do you see that? The Stargate opener, he's trying to have all the info, he's trying to be active, he's trying to be out on the map. What does it end up actually turn into? Well, unfortunately, the Banshee ends up killing a ton more workers than it ever should have been able to versus that build. And Clem just follows it up with a very clean push. And while he's trying to rebuild and get everything set up, all of a sudden, the Robo being in the natural, it was in range of all the tanks. What a painful way to die.
Yeah, the shield battery recharged as well with the shield battery that was a little bit exposed, where he had a shield battery that was a little bit more tucked in. I can understand going for the exposed shield battery if you want to take the engagement outside, right? If you want to push your units out and take the engagement further away from your base, which would be ideal, but not the case here. He was getting pushed in pretty fast there, and I mean that tank also not dying to the Phoenix aggression, 1 shot away, probably just. Clem did a lot of things right? Like for most people, that tank dies, but Clem instantly clicks the right Phoenix with all of the Marines, anticipating what the move was, anticipating which Phoenix is in front, which Phoenix is actually going to get the pick off, right? And the same can be said for the Banshees. Like I said, like that Cyclone denying information for as long as it did allows for Clem to not be scouted, to leave with the first Banshee unspotted easily, and gives himself the best chance at doing something with an opener that, like you pointed out, shouldn't. So, yeah, I mean, beautiful job there by Clem.
Yeah, just very, very powerful timing, and kind of clap back after the, you talk about the invisible man. What about the invisible plane? Boom. Can't explain that. So manages to use a similar sort of little move. And now he's got that quick game 3 under his belt. So we go to Tropical Sacrifice for game number 4. And this is where Clem could close it out. Maybe we get our first game 5 of the bracket that I've cast at least. So I don't know if there's been any others, but I think we had a lot of long games yesterday, but none of them actually went to that 5th and final map.
We'll see if this is the one. It seems predestined to be, but this man right here on screen, he's gonna have to pull it back in order to take us there. It is in the top right-hand side for Storm Gaming, MaxPax.
And his opponent spawning in the southwest as the Blue Terran, he is Clem from Team Liquid.
Test. My microphone got unplugged. Hopefully it didn't mess anything up.
I think I can still hear you. You sound
That's
great
good.
to me. I mean, just so everybody out there knows, we have 2 ways that we talk between the casters and 1 to production. So it's possible that you're not going out to air.
Right.
I think,
Yeah, that is
I think somebody would have probably been in your ear, like, so you're probably okay.
Yeah, that was more of a heads up for Caro in production to be like, yeah, you're good. But I think I'm good, given that, we haven't heard any of that. And now we're in this game, the more important part, as a family of a single probe is going to be moving across the map.
He's trying to. I mean, he might start a family. Might lay down a pylon. You know.
But he's a
Set some
robot,
roots.
you would say, Nate. You don't believe that robots can have consciousness or a conscious experience?
Oh,
I've heard
I
you
didn't
comment on
say.
that multiple
I didn't
times.
say that.
I've
I
heard
just
you
said
comment
that.
on that
I just said I
multiple
don't
times, Nate.
respect them. I just said I don't
okay,
respect.
that's
them.
fair enough. Yeah,
It's
I'm done with
very
that.
different. It's
That
very
is
different.
Okay, that's fair enough then.
If they develop that, more power
Yeah.
to them.
Perfect. All
You
right.
know,
Well, this little probe, if it had any experience, it's gonna be of going back to its base now, as it's gonna get taken down to the smallest amount of HP. It will of course regenerate its shields if it wants to stay out a little bit longer. But that means Clem is able to drop his natural own location without too much hassle.
Yeah. When they put me in San Junipero or whatever in the Black Mirror timeline, the robots will probably torment me there for all my
Probably.
them. But that's
Probably. Whereas
I
I
accept
literally
that,
say hello to my Roomba every day.
Yeah. Well, mine's been unpowered in a closet since we moved, so that's probably it. I haven't had that recent positive interaction to change my perspective. I'm just becoming slowly more hateful of the robots over time. Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't want to know what happens when the Alexa speaks out of turn. It's not a good thing.
Yeah.
Twilight Council starting up in MaxPax's mineral line.
Interesting. All right. As the Reaper is going to get chased back, but now find an alternate route to bypass the Adept. So both players going to go and try to gather information with their respective information gathering fast-paced mobile units in the shape of the Adept and the Reaper respectively. But there's not much to gather for the time being.
Nah, there's nothing crazy happening. I mean, we can see everything. There's nothing ridiculous or absurd. I think blink opening on this map, very standard. You have a ramp going into the natural, so it's very difficult to bring the pressure. It's very difficult to punish, So I feel like we'll just get to that point where he did build a Hellion, but this feels like the just yeet it in and try to scout if there is anything Hellion. So just run it straight up into the main base. If there is something to see, great. If not, also great. Unless you're getting proxied. MaxPax, not doing that in this game. So not a whole lot to worry about. And the Reaper did get into the main and kills a pro.
Wow. Yeah,
So-
very nice job. I mean, that was a Yeet Reaper, like you were saying, and it's probably meant to drag some units out for the Hellion to get in. But as we see the bruised Hellion here at the front, it means that it was easily deflected by this Adept also. So, yeah, I mean, Clem does get the information that he was looking for regardless. So maybe just thinking better of yeeting the Hellion once the Reaper confirms, hey, there's this many gateways. There's probably blink on the way from that Twilight Council.
If it wasn't blink, you would expect that, like he'd have multiple adepts that were out on the map, or he'd have a zealot already built because he'd be thinking, okay, he might use this later. But nobody really does the adept builds, not versus Terran. Once upon a time, if there's one thing that Terran players should appreciate more, it's that their workers are the only ones that don't die in 2 hits to everything these days. So the adept builds really fell off. And then people got bored of trying to do remember there was a period of time where people legit were trying to do +1 attack Reaper or +1 attack Adept resonating glaive drop all ins. And then they realized that it costs a ridiculous amount of money and takes forever and it just was sucked. But so we tried that. It did not work, just in case anybody was wondering. So you don't really see the Adepts as much, and it will be Stalkers. He does have the Prism, so it will be a little bit more like that Cosmic Sapphire game. The only thing missing is the Dark Shrine, but I guess that's still on the table, really.
It is.
Damn it.
As far as the timings for that last game are concerned, and I love when you do something like this as well and don't go for the Dark Shrine, right? Because you've shown Dark Shrine, so it's gonna be on Clem's mind potentially, and he will be more likely to drop defensive turrets. And similar to MaxPax scouting in the last game and it not yielding anything, as we see continued action here on your screens, it could end up being the same situation where you're making turrets for nothing, an eBay for nothing, or for later upgrade, but not to be utilized as soon as you want them. So, yeah, I think that it's very likely that MaxPax is playing just a similar style, but not exactly the same. I don't want to see the Dark Shrine, I guess is what I'm saying.
Yeah, you don't. And charge will come up, though. So I think because Clem has done a couple of tank pushes, or at least tried to use tanks quite a bit, I think that there is a fair argument to be made that the charge will be a very good move to punish that, of course, force a little bit of friendly fire action, and just This stem being done, of course, was very big. Not losing that was huge for Clem. That exposed tech lab on the right side of the base is always, that's like that Monka S moment. You just don't know what's going to happen. You don't know when it's going to get popped, but he does not lose that. And at least for MaxPax, he's already on 3 bases. By the way, the random Hellion is still out here. He's checking things out. He's just he's living his life a quarter mile at a time.
Oh my god, he's going into the natural. What a madman that Hellion.
He's got big dreams. There's nothing here.
Really does.
Go! Light him up! Oh,
the robot!
Oh, revenge! Okay, now see?
Gets the probe. I mean, that's pretty good. If he gets another one, he's
so that's actually the spoiler alert. That's the plot of the next Fast and Furious movie. It is just robots. So there you go. Written and directed by me, of course. Surprise, humans win. That's
Is there robots in Fast and Furious?
No, there will be. That's what I'm telling you.
Oh, okay. Because you said just robots, so I assumed there was a mix as it stands.
Maybe. You know they have to be made by somebody. They have to be made by somebody. So I'll give you that. Yeah.
Oh, misses the snipe. They're on the observer and loses a few units as a result as well. No stalkers have been lost, and a beautiful blink forward by MaxPax, taking advantage of the siege time of the tank. That I don't think it even got a shot off. So just brilliant set of maneuvers here from MaxPax. Clem even stims to Marines. Finally, the scan is ready, so that's gonna allow him to move out. But that was a really expensive observer to clear out. It's gonna die a happy death.
Storm is on the way too. So we had MaxPax play around with disruptors. We've had him go for a little bit of Colossus action. Now he's really mixing it up about as much as you really can. The Prism with charge lots is getting ready for a big drop. He does not have vision in the corner of his base. So if he wanted to, he could warp in at the edge and go with like a huge attack, but that's not going to be the case. He's actually bringing everything over towards the 3rd. So this is going to become 2-pronged.
Ooh. Yep, blinks away from the mine shot as well, but the Zealots are going to be a little bit wary heading into that much bio and with the mine shot, and that's a difficult spot to retreat from as well, given the choke and the corner that you have to turn. So all of those units are going to suffer a little bit of losses in terms of HP, and a couple of them are going to fall on the retreat. Now it's Clem a little bit more confident to move out on the map in a game that MaxPax seem to have been doing great up until this point. It's up to the Storm, but we're talking about Storm from a man that is in Team Psystorm.
So, oh yeah. Do you think he's contractually obligated to research Storm at least once
and it's
per
gonna
series?
happen right. Oh, I'm ready.
Not enough energy.
Like one.
This is a lot of bio
now, but he's revealed his hand. Is that gonna matter? Beautiful storms, but I mean, Clem's so quick to get away from those, and the mines are all gonna survive. If that Templar had gotten off the first storm onto the clamp, it would have been fantastic. As it stands, a difficult battle here from MaxPax. Gonna lose his 4th base as well.
Yeah, this siege up position again is just so tough to break. He tried to go for the storm for the AoE, and I like that, but I think that attempted push up the ramp kind of cost MaxPax a little bit too much of his army. The handful of Zealots and Stalkers he lost would have been really nice to have back here, and the bio, the only thing that's really killing it is the crazy amounts of stim that he's employed. So the siege tank does get killed, but the next wave of reinforcements is here. Even the Viking landed just in case he needed that extra little smattering of DPS. So the 4th base crushed. He is moving into Colossus. Again, there are 3 High Templar alive inside of the Prism. So there might be another Storm in play, or 2 or 3. I don't think much more than that. Yeah. Clem is just going to back it up. I think he realizes that while this could be a moment to end the game, it would also probably be the greatest throw to try and force it there. Just step back. He has his 3rd. He's on 3 base versus 3 base. This is ideal for Terran. He's way ahead. Get your Ghost Academy, get some EMPs, make a big surround, move in.
It looks very difficult for MaxPax. Such an unfortunate situation. I really do think that one more second, one more energy on that High Templar would have made a huge difference with that first storm landing and the surprise factor actually being revealed to great effect, as opposed to, you know, kind of unceremoniously with the next set of 3 storms, which landed on some bio, but Clem was plenty ready to split, plenty ready to get back, and not as condensed as far as the army is concerned. So out of that, MaxPax loses the 4th, and the Zealot run by doesn't do enough to equalize. He's still trying, but it's very difficult. And I mean, some brilliant moves from MaxPax as well. Like you were saying, the army was bruised. He was using the Archon even in a War Prism, which can seem a little bit dangerous, but, you know, shortening the distance, trying to pick off the bio with it. He's really doing everything that he can, but this is now a very, very difficult position.
Yes, it is. That 4th base gets popped again. He's really trying to find an opportunity here. Takes that storm, and he's going to get a couple of Marines, but might have actually just died to the Colossus. Anyway, Widow Mine is going to splash onto some of the Zealots. And that armory is going to finish. There's not detection here, so the second mine that goes off, he actually won't have the vision on it. And he's going to attack his own Archon with the Colossus. 7,000 IQ. That's what we love to see.
Yeah, you love to see it. And here comes the collapse onto half of the army of Clem. The rest of the army of Clem should start moving soon. This is when we would love a split screen, perhaps, as it's going to be very apparent that players are going to get really active here. On the other side, the War Prism here is going to land a couple of storms, mostly onto nothing. However, as Clem is very ready to split, and this is the deadly maneuver here from Clement.
The prism with all the High Templar in gets popped. He's going to recall to the Nexus. I think he actually could have killed the Nexus for the recall, but instead he decides, I'm going to let him come through and just smash that army. GG. Clem takes it 3.